welcome back to the channel. This is my Illusory Lighthouse LUFENIA Plus run, where I'll be using Agrias, Vaan, and Setzer. Here the boss, as soon as it starts, goes into this perfect dodge, which gives him 100% debuff, or a 100% evasion. And so the only two calls that will actually work are going to be here Ferris's and I believe Gabrant's. And he needs to be poisoned, or you need to also have a sap debuff on him, because that is what's going to make the orb go up by 8. So you'll see there, he takes a turn. Since I do have Ferris's poison, it's going to increase the orb. The other way to increase the orb count is by breaking the boss, but because he is in perfect dodge, you're not going to be able to break him. Now, the way you start doing damage to the boss is by killing A and C. Once you kill A and C, it's going to make him come out of perfect dodge. Now, the thing with that though is that he'll go back into perfect dodge on his next turn and resummon A and C again. Pretty much giving him 100% evasion again. And if you keep allowing him to do that, then you're not going to be able to defeat this within the turn limit. So the goal would be to eliminate A and C, and if you try to use Agrias' Faded Molly to try to confuse him, it's not going to work, because he will dodge since he's dodging the attack, the debuff will not stick. Now, at one point, he's going to, I think it's at like after 79%, he has certain thresholds, which is he starts off at 100%, or at 100% he goes into perfect dodge. Then at 79%, he's gonna force his turn, and then go into perfect dodge. 59% and 39%. So those are the HP thresholds where he will force his turn. Doing so without being confused or paralyzed when his turn is forced will make him go back into perfect dodge. So what I'm going to do here is that I am going to make sure that on the first time he comes out of the perfect dodge, I confuse him, and from that point on, not really let him take any turns until he's below 59%, because the orb will go away once he reaches 79%. So if the orb goes away, there's no reason for him to take any turn whatsoever. And so I want to be able to push his turn back as far as possible with my Cloud of Darkness friend, but make sure that Cloud of Darkness goes away, or I use up all her turns when the boss is around 59%, because since the orb comes back, that's when you're gonna have to start having the boss take some turns. And if you keep delaying the turn, then the orb is gonna go off and you're gonna get insta KO'd, insta killed. And so here I did go into the summon, just to again make sure the boss didn't move his turn all the way up. Force his turn, do the move, summon the ads, go back into perfect dodge. So I did use Agrias' Faded Molly, which confuses the target. And again, the only two things that work on this boss is going to be Faded Molly, or confusion, or paralyzation, to not have him go back into perfect dodge. So from here on out, it should be pretty simple. It's just a damage race, and then making sure that you don't let him take a turn. And right here is, again, goal is getting him below 79%, which I think I should do here with Vaan. And at that point, you don't have to worry about the orb anymore. So about 59%. I did try to run a few other teams, and again, without the paralyze and the confusion, I was running into the issue that the boss just kept looping it from coming out of perfect dodge, forcing his turn, summoning the ads, going back into perfect dodge, all within that same forced turn. Like right here, he's going to force his turn. If he wasn't confused, he would have gone into perfect dodge and summoned the ads. So now we're good to go. The orb is away, or goes away. Now it's just doing damage, and then we are applying the Faded Molly, so that just in case he does take a turn, he's still confused. You don't have to let him take a turn, and he will not force a turn until he reaches a certain HP threshold. A lot of the bosses, I think it was the last one, Lore of the Lusher, or what was it again? It was the one right before this one. Those bosses would take a turn, Oh, Lure of the Lush, the Rafflesia raid, they would take turns, force their turns after you took a certain amount of turns, but not with this boss. This boss is going to be based on once you get him down to a certain HP threshold, that's where this boss will force the turn. So the next force turn again is at that 59%. Here, since I should be getting there fairly quickly with Vaan and Cloud of Darkness friend unit, I want to make sure that I do break as fast as I can with Cloud of Darkness, use up all of her turns. Even if the boss goes into the force turn and I put him at 59%, I mean, it's still he's gonna have the max orb count, so it's not like Cloud of Darkness has to go away exactly at that point. But one thing to remember is that if once he forces his turn, the Faded Molly debuff will go away, which means confusion goes away. So you got to make sure Agrias comes out before he takes his next turn. Other than that, I did have Sid Reigns as one of the call abilities here, and I put it on Setzer just in case I needed to move Agrias' turn up and either reapply paralyzation or paralyze or confuse on the boss, which is why I brought Sid Reigns. That's really the only reason I have him as a call. The other two calls, again, is Ferris's call for the defense down, but mostly for the again, defense down really doesn't matter just because when you have Setzer, I mean, it helps. So that way you're not doing, one brave damage. So here at 59%, you just saw force to turn, but it's confused. So now we cannot act. And I would suggest that this is the way you go about it. Just keep up the paralyze, keep up the confusion. Don't let him go into perfect dodge because you're gonna make it harder than what it should be. So hopefully you do have somebody, on the team that can do that. And even if you were to, I don't use freeze because even if I was to have used freeze, again, that doesn't stop me from going into perfect dodge. And Setzer has the freeze. So here, one thing I should have done better is that I should have gone into the burst earlier when Vaan had a fresh set of Setzer's fixed dice buff on him, because obviously it would have maximized damage, and it would also maximize damage with Cloud of Darkness as well. So I should have just probably bursted from the very beginning, but again, it didn't really affect the outcome of the battle at all. And again, whenever you're going to do that, whenever you're going to have Cloud of Darkness and you're going to burst with somebody and you have Setzer, then you just want to make sure that, I think if everybody has a fresh fixed dice buff, it's going to obviously do a lot more damage. So you'll see there, this is why defense downs do help, so that you're not just hitting for ones. But again, the call, I was on the calls. So on the calls, Ferris for sap, or for the poison. Sephiroth for his sap. Just making sure I have, that's a total of 4 calls that I have that I can inflict poison and or sap. So that's the reason I don't have to worry about the orb at all. And again, Sid Reigns was just to pull up Agrias' turn just in case I needed it. Other than that here, so you'll see that the enemy is paralyzed and the next HP threshold is at 39%. Now, if you noticed, I did Agrias' AA into her S2. The reason I did that is because her S2 does not guarantee to inflict paralyze, but if you use the AA, it literally I think it gets close to 100%, if not it's like 100%. I don't have Agrias' information in front of me, but you're going to inflict paralyze, the paralyze debuff, which is what I needed, because if I would, since I didn't have the Faded Molly debuff ready to go, I wouldn't have, if I would have tried to do the Agrias' LD, which then gives her the ability to inflict confuse on the next turn, if I would have tried to go that route, it wouldn't have worked, and the enemy would have gone into perfect dodge. So in order to minimize that risk, again, Agrias' AA into her S2 guarantees paralyze. Then Vaan ended up putting the boss at the next HP threshold, which forced the turn, but boss can't do anything. Now I have Faded Molly again, so now the boss is confused. So when the boss, again, I do want the boss to most likely take a turn, because I most likely won't be able to defeat him in, what's the orb, 5 turns, right? So here, I do want the boss to take a turn. If I break him, it's fine. He's going to end up taking, I mean, it's not going to be a big deal. 2 more turns. The boss will be, I think, at 2, at a count of 2 or 3 when he takes his next turn. So that's not going to be an issue. And then here I'm just using Sephiroth just to use them. I mean, there's really no reason to use Sephiroth. I just want to use my call at that point. And Agrias want to get the next Confusion or Fated Molly ready. So I used here. I end up using Agrias' LD. So once the boss takes the turn here, the confusion goes away, but still can't do anything. And as soon as Agrias' turn comes up, I'm going to reapply the confusion again. So this is why I think Agrias is kind of really more the star of the show, because I think you can replace Setzer with like Porum, for example. Porum, I think, does like 70 or 80% defense down, gives your party huge attack, has a lot of auras. Not the biggest, not a really good damage dealer, but I think that you could also replace Setzer for Porum. I think that maybe even Vaan can be replaced, I think, by Sip Brains, or another big damage dealer, maybe even potentially even Ace, but maybe. So there's other ways, or there's other characters that that could have been used here, but Agrias I think is a little harder to replace. I think that maybe even Arciela or Kefka, somebody that just has actually no, sorry, you have to do Paralyze or Confusion, so they will not work because they just have HP disable, so that does not stop the perfect dodge. So yeah, I think Agrias will be your best bet. But that's it. Vaan makes it very easy to just melt, or Vaan and Setzer together help me melt the boss's HP down. So if you do try this out, good luck. If you notice, turn count is 95. I did it in 51, so there's more than enough turns even if you mess up once and it goes into perfect dodge for you to complete it. So if you run the stage, good luck. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for new content. Also, let me know in the comment section what you think about this mission and who you used to complete it. Check the links in the description for Opera Omnia websites that give you a bunch of helpful information, and I'll see you on the next one.